All right, so I just got back from a family vacation in Japan, and this trip just made me rethink my travel camera gear. Now, I brought a lot of camera gear with me just, for different situations. I brought the Insta360 Go 3, the X3, and 2 Sony cameras, the A7C Mark II and the ZV-E1. But I was planning on using the ZV-E1 and the Sony 16-35 f4 power zoom as my main camera for either photo and video. Now, I realized halfway through the trip that traveling with your family, your wife and your 2 kids, that you don't have all that freedom to shoot because of the 2 kids running around, making sure they're safe, they're not wandering off. And in the middle of our trip, I paid a visit to Big Camera and got this. The DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And when I got this, I used mainly this over this for the rest of our trip. So when I got back, I just thought, why not compare these 2 cameras? If you're thinking of getting the ZV-E1 or the Osmo Pocket 3 mainly for traveling or vlogging, then I compare them in terms of number 1, the size and the weight. Number 2, the image quality, both in their log profile and their normal color profile. Number 3, the audio quality of their internal mics. And number 4, stabilization. So let's start with the size and weight. Here is a comparison of my setup. It may not be your setup because I have a cage with me, but you can see that there is a stark difference. So if weight or size is one of your main considerations when deciding on a travel camera, then no question the Osmo Pocket 3 will be your gear of choice. I mean, if that's your main thing, I don't think you need to think of image quality, because nowadays any camera has great image quality unless you're doing it for pro work. But if it's for vacation videos, I think this is already at par with a lot of cameras. So for size and weight, Osmo Pocket 3 is the way to go. Now let's go to image quality. And if your thing is the best image quality possible, I still think you should go with the ZV-E1 over the Osmo Pocket 3. And here are the comparisons of these 2. Image quality test on the normal color profile on both cameras. See the highlights blown out. Go under the shade. And these are pretty much on auto, except for this, it's shutter priority, but the aperture is auto, ISO is auto. On the Osmo Pocket 3, everything is on auto, which has the better image quality. Right now I am shooting on D-Log-M for the Pocket 3 and S-Log-3 on the ZV-E1. So here, the ZV-E1 is on 10-bit, Osmo Pocket 3 is on 10-bit. A while ago in normal color profile, the ZV-E1 was on 10-bit, but the Pocket 3 doesn't have 10-bit in the normal color profile. So now that they're both in log and 10-bit, which one looks better? Now, if you think that the Osmo Pocket 3's image quality is good enough for you, then again, that's a point for this camera. But if you don't mind lugging around a mirrorless camera of this size and image quality is your main priority, especially if you want to have, those cinematic shots when traveling, then go with the ZV-E1. One advantage of having the ZV-E1 is the flexibility of changing the lenses. Since it's an interchangeable lens, you are not stuck with this 16-35 or whatever lens that you bring. If you are that type of traveler, you want to create really nice travel videos, maybe travel movies, travel films, then I think you would go with a more flexible mirrorless camera. Because the Osmo Pocket 3 only has one focal length, which is 20 millimeters. You can have another one with a wide angle converter at 15 millimeters. And there is a digital zoom, but I'm not a fan of any digital zoom except for Sony's clear image zoom. So yeah, I just use it at 20 millimeters. Now when it comes to the audio quality of the internal mics, here is the test. All right, so now we're doing an internal audio test of these two cameras. So this is the sound that's coming out of the Osmo Pocket 3, and this is the sound coming out of the ZV-E1. Now I am in my office, which has a lot of reverb, so let's transfer outside. All right, so now we're outside. So here is again the audio test when outdoors of the internal microphones of these two cameras. This is the sound that's coming out of the Osmo Pocket 3, and this is the sound that's coming out of the ZV-E1. Tell me in the comments below which one sounds better. Now the reason why I am testing internal microphones audio quality is because I don't want to bring an external mic and make the setup bigger. So that is the reason why I look for cameras that have great audio quality in camera. And last but not the least, I will test the stabilization of these cameras. Number one, the stabilization of the Osmo Pocket 3. Number two, the ZV-E1 on active steady shot, the ZV-E1 on dynamic active steady shot, and last but not the least, using a gimbal. Now let's do stabilization tests of these cameras for vlogging. So this is the Osmo Pocket 3, and it is so light. It's such a good camera to have when traveling, plus the active track makes it, you know, I think a better camera when it comes to not thinking about your shot, because you're always at the center if vlogging is your thing. Now this is stabilization test handheld of the ZV-E1 in active steady shot with the 16 to 35 f4 lens. So I'm sure the Osmo Pocket 3 is more stable. But yeah, how do you like the look? How do you like the look of the active steady shot? Now we are on dynamic active steady shot, which I can afford to do for vlogging because of the 16 millimeter wide angle focal length. But yeah, how does this compare to the Osmo Pocket 3? Is the stabilization of the dynamic active steady shot enough for you not, to rely on a gimbal? Alright, so now I turned off all stabilizations in camera of the ZV-E1 because I am using it with my DJI RS3 Mini, which is a physical gimbal. But personally, I'm not going to use this with traveling. It's such a big setup. I mean, this is a small gimbal, but for traveling with two kids and my wife, this is a big setup. But I'm just doing it just for you to see the comparison of the stabilization of the Osmo Pocket 3 with against the ZV-E1 and a physical gimbal like the RS3 Mini. So there you have it. Those are the comparisons of the ZV-E1 and the Osmo Pocket 3. Now, which one should you get? Now, this is my personal opinion. Please base your opinion on what you've watched so far. But for me, if I'm going to travel with my family, with my wife and two kids, I would rather bring the Osmo Pocket 3. But if I'm going to travel maybe alone or just with me and my wife, no kids, and I have the freedom to move, freedom to, go different angles when in a particular place, then I would definitely bring or use the ZV-E1 as my travel camera. So there you have it. I am curious, what do you think about these two cameras? Which would you rather bring on a vacation or any type of travel? Please do share your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you'd like to watch more videos like this about camera gear, audio equipment, and desk setups, please check out my other videos here.